coming to you from the Edge Podcast Studios at South Mountain, Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to the Edge Podcast with MikeG. Buckle up, Edge Nation. It's about to get real.
Welcome to the Edge Podcast with MikeG. My name is Michael Garcia. I also go by MikeG. That's my avatar, if you will. And I have in studio today the lovely Carolyn Melby. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. You look fabulous.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to be with you.
I am looking forward to having this conversation because I am one of those people that, number one, loves relationships. I love being around people, and I think that you've got a unique... I don't even know what to call it. God, it's just so unique.
We'll call it a little juicy. It's
yeah,
a little juicy conversations that get going in this.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me introduce, first of all, Carolyn Melby and Carolyn B. Melby.
Yes.
And she is a certified life and relationship coach. Now, listen to this. She helps successful professionals over 40 easily attract their ideal relationship without dating. Yeah, stay tuned. You're live on the podcast. Welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's dive in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do? And we love to hear stories, so go for it.
Okay, great. Yes, I decided back in the day when I wanted to start dating, and I wanted to go out and date for one, and it just wasn't quite right. And I couldn't figure out why I was dating those liars and cheaters and, you know, some of the losers that everyone seems to talk about. And after a while, one day in bed, I was like, okay, I keep doing this over and over. So it's not them, it's me. So what is it? Right. So then I ended up hiring a coach. And because I really believe in coaches, I think we should all have one in every areas of our life. And what I found out was that I wasn't really clear on what I wanted. So then when I got clear on what I wanted, I was able to see everyone else out there differently.
Right.
And it was interesting because I no longer had to date. I really got that you just meet. When you first meet, it's best. Because we have the word dating as a word that we think it's right off the bat. That's what we do when we meet someone, but it's really not. Right. Dating is when we get wooed. Right? That's the juicy part of it, when you get wooed. So then when I decided to date after that, I decided that I was just going to meet, and then I would just talk to them. I wouldn't even go out. And I was like, no, I don't go out until we talk a little bit. Because if I hear what I like, then we can go out, and then we can meet in person. And then from there, if we decide we want to go on a date, we'll go on a date.
Cool.
So, just by going out and you're listening, and then, because it doesn't match up with what you really want and you really desire, then you're really just wasting your time.
Yeah.
And you're undervaluing who you really are and what you really want. And it becomes frustrating because so many people just hate dating. That's the number one thing that they tell me.
It's tough.
It's very tough.
So,
but it doesn't have to be.
That's good news.
Yeah. It's really fun. It's really fun to go out and meet. And then when you do go on that date, it is fun because you really get to be who you are and really get to be what you want. And you have nothing to lose.
So how do you come up with that? So the interesting thing, because, I was in a relationship for 4 years, wonderful woman, and we parted as friends. We're really close friends now. And I'm able to share lots of things with her. And there are some things that I had with her that I really miss and haven't, but it was developed over 4 years. I mean, it took 4 years for us to get to that place. And then we finally was like, it seems like this isn't going to be right for the long term, and people are like, well, you were together for 4 years, dummy. I mean, right? You figure that out after a year. Sometimes, and I was traveling, so that's my excuse. But what I really get is that having a clear understanding of what it is that you want is the key, I think, to beginning anything, because it allows you to say, no, I'm going to sort you out, right? Yeah. And, maybe I'll spend a little time with you. So how do you get to that place of actually having that clear consciousness, knowing what it is you want?
Well, first, you have to get a coach. You can't figure it out on your own. Yeah. You've got to have someone that can really listen to you and figure out what you really want. And there are some exercises and some awareness that you don't know until you've got someone who can really, really listen and dig that out of you. The other thing that I tell people too is when you start being with people like for you, and you're with her for 4 years, that was great. That was your journey. And during that journey, what really occurred from the very beginning was that you saw something that you wanted over there in her that you really was looking for yourself.
Oh, okay.
So then when you found it, it was no longer there.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't build on something if it's about you. It has to be about them, right? And it's the soul. So what's really interesting about that is the other day, including my mother, I love my mother. My mother's going to be 75. She doesn't mind. She looks awesome. And my dad passed away 5 years ago, and she's starting to date. So we talk every couple of days.
Girl.
I coach my mother. She tells people, I just spoke with my daughter, and I just had a session with my daughter.
That's awesome.
And what I said to her, because she had asked me a question, I said, Mom, and this other person that I was coaching, what is it that you're looking for? Or you want to fall in love with your soul, their soul.
Right.
Not what they look like, or not, anything else that's superficial, or their job, or anything or their intelligence even.
Right.
Because that doesn't last. What if something happens and, we know about all that. And so if you could really fall in love with the soul first, then you'd be, and then including, knowing what your wants and desires are, and then it kind of builds outward.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a whole different, really you invert that, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Right. And then what you're talking about is something that's going deep first, having some semblance of, is this person's soul match mine, I guess. Yeah. And then knowing it. So you coach people really on finding their soulmates, right?
Yes, that's exactly.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
One other thing that is really important that I want everyone to know that I'm really passionate about is being a really great listener. Like one of the biggest things that men really want is they want to be able to be in a safe space so that they can actually say what they really want to say and be heard.
Yeah, that's true.
And women, typically, their number one thing is they want to feel safe. So it's very different when you realize that is the core of really what people want, then you can start from there. That's one area, right?
That's so brilliant.
Oh, there's just so much to it. And then there's another exercise that I had done when I was in my life coaching course that I didn't even know it existed. And it was by Dr. Taylor Hartman, and it's called the Color Code. And you take this questionnaire, and you go on my website, and you can get the link. And about this is they've determined that it's your innate motives, like it's in your core, that they're finding that it's in your DNA, that when you are in the womb, if you ask a woman, and she's had, 4 kids, she'll tell you, each child was different. And it was so interesting because once I learned that, I asked women, and was the child born on time? Was it early? Because they're saying that's where it comes from. So then what he did was, for people to understand, is he gave each group a color. Oh, wow. And that is really what their core is. And when I took the test, I had no idea, I had no idea who I really was and why I was this happy, spirited, connector, loving, creative person. And I'm a yellow, and I'm a purist because I'm stronger in that color. And what my innate motives is, what's in my heart. And the moment that I found out about that also had me, I forgave myself for everything that I didn't do. And I acknowledged myself for everything that I had accomplished. And I really think if you can get in tune with some of that as well, that flows into your relationship and what you really want.
And what I'm hearing is that it starts with knowing yourself. Really. All of this really does start from you having a clear understanding of who you are, and the exercises that you're mentioning really do help achieve that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
The juicy part.
I love it.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't want to get to. I recently was visiting San Jose, and I met these wonderful young gentlemen. They were, early 20s to 31. And I got into the conversation is, what is it that you really want? Oh, I want this, this color hair. And I'm like, no, really, what is it that you really want in a relationship? And they had no idea. And none of them could really say that they wanted to be in love.
I think I'm kind of struggling with that myself.
Being authentic, it's scary.
Yeah.
And we have it like it's scary, but it's really not. It's just really being authentic in who you are, because the moment you can get there, and again, that goes back to you having that safe space.
Yeah. Being able to say it.
Being able to say it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is big because I've got situations in my life right now where I'm really I'm interested in this certain woman, and I'm kind of afraid to be in the space of falling in love because I've done that before, but I didn't have a clear understanding of what I really wanted. I know that I want certain things, but do I really want to be in love? And do I really want to do,
Do you even know what that looks like?
I don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. And so when they have that word afraid, it also can go with trust. And they usually go hand in hand. And again, it's creating that safe space. And that's something that you personally, for you, Michael, is that you want to listen for that with her. Is she giving me the safe space, that code, that clue?
Yeah.
And then you can start to say, okay, I can at least do this. And if it doesn't work out, you're closer to that area for yourself that you've never been before.
Oh, that's interesting. You've moved the dial.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, you're a lot closer. I love that. That's great. Wow.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so what are some of the other things that you talk about, or what are some of the other things that you would do to coach?
Oh gosh, one thing that I love as well is definitely a mission statement, your life mission statement.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
We all create it for businesses, but we don't create it for ourselves. And when you get to create that, you get to see what you really want. That's part of what you really want.
Oh yeah.
So I do that, and
I'm going to say right now, that sounds like a lot of work.
Well,
and it's not a bad thing. But the funny thing is that today's culture, we're running around, with apps, and we're doing this, and I mean, people are just so right, and it's like, oh, that seems like too much work. So I'm saying it, I'm stating it, what most people or some people might say. But here's the thing: so what? Hard work is the only thing that pays off. You know what I mean? So what would that entail?
So let's talk about work for just a second.
Sure.
So when we think of work, we think of it as something that it's to do or to get.
Right.
And this isn't to do or to get. This is for your life.
Oh, great distinction.
This is what you want. You want that relationship. Wouldn't you rather work hard for a lifelong partner, soulmate, and work harder for that if that's what you have the interpretation of, versus working hard at a job that you don't even like?
Right.
So that's one thing. And then when it comes to the word work, sometimes people think of it as work because it's a cop-out, again, in that I'm afraid area. If I tap into that and I know what I want in my life mission statement, I don't know, that's going to get me closer to falling in love that I'm not so sure about.
Well, you might be someone who's gone through a divorce like I have. You might be somebody who's, had a couple of bad turnouts, right? Relationships that didn't turn out the way you wanted to. And so perhaps the reason that they turned out that way is because you're not clear on your mission statement.
Exactly.
And then there's something to be responsible for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and to be really responsible for that is to really embrace. You know how I was telling you that I forgave myself because I figured out that part of me, is that you would be able to do that as well, and be able to go back to those relationships and really embrace them and be thankful for them.
Okay.
And it could be happening now because of that 4-year relationship that you said that you're friends. So you've been able to do that. And of course, always leave them better than you find them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. That's really big. Most people can't even, really say that they're still friends.
Yeah. I don't think people should break up. I think people should just, and the word move on is not really, doesn't capture it.
No.
I think really because as you're growing beyond, right? Yeah. That relationship. And the neat thing is I think that we evolved into best friends.
Yeah.
So we went from being friends and lovers, and we good friends at that point, but once we were able to get clear on what our relationship could be, we became best friends. And I think that was an evolution up, not an evolution down.
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So.
And, it's interesting because you can have friends and have friendships, but you can also have spiritual friendships, spiritual friends. And that's what you want. And that spiritual, it's not necessarily a religious type. It's your soul. It goes back to being soul friends. And whether it is your spouse or even if it's a male friend of yours or even like a girlfriend of mine, I have some of my girlfriends that are on that spiritual level that we're so connected that we can say anything and everything that we want. And it's like, okay, good. Now I'm going to look for him and I'm not going to settle until I get that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And my favorite saying is, if I'm out there, he's out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Right?
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. That just gives me hope.
Oh,
right?
oh,
If I'm
we all
out
need
there,
hope.
She's out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's probably not just one, there's a few.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. We just have to move ourselves out of the way, so to speak.
Well, the interesting thing, so what do you do with people that, let's say, for instance, they have a non-traditional type relationship set up? So in other words, people that are in open relationships or they're polyamorous. And I'm just learning a little more about what polyamory is. And I've had a couple people on the program that have talked about it. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting thought process or way of doing it. Can you have more than one soulmate? Can you have more than one love, physical lover? And is that something that's available to human beings? I mean, I'm sure it is. It's happening, obviously. But what would you address in that? Like,
in that situation is people are going to make decisions based on what they want, and it's a behavioral thing.
Sure.
But in the end, it really is a one soulship, a friendship, soulship, loveship kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't, those people, it's very specific to them. I mean, it's their own conversation and what they really want to say to you about that and what kind of relationship they do want. And I've spoken to a few people and it's still a disconnect. Like they like that and that's their lifestyle. Yet, they can't do the love thing. If I can just love several, then I won't be vulnerable with just one.
Oh, wow. I wonder if you can do that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Because you can love in many different ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love my kids. I love
your ex-wife. You said you were married before, right? Every one of them, there's a love. There's a special love, and it will never go away. So if you could just, if you look at it that way, but bottom line is, when you're on your deathbed, what is it that you really want? And you can say that you've wanted, you've had, you've gotten. What is that?
Yeah. Well, a big part of it, so I'll answer the question. What I want is my legacy to be intact.
Yeah, and what's that?
That legacy looks like a rich life filled with experiences with people I love and adore, and that I've created something that's tangible and long-lasting. That's a legacy for me. So my children know without question that they were loved their entire lives, and that they were always protected and cared for by me, and that they were given those tools and experiences that would help them grow as human beings, and they make a contribution, and they follow up with that within their own lives. Like, I want that to be a special part. And then obviously my friends and family, those people whose lives I've touched, those people whose lives touched mine. I want that legacy to be available as well through media and video, and I'm so blessed to have a podcast that this is part of the permanent record.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's interesting because when I was listening to you talk about your relationship with your kids, I bet you that is exactly what you would like to have with your woman.
For sure. Yeah, without a doubt.
And that's part of your wants.
Okay.
That maybe you've never had it, you've never spoken.
Right. Well, not being in a safe space to be able to speak that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then putting that into my mission statement, my life.
Yes.
Mission statement. Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I know, it's so great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a moment. Yeah.
Things that make you go,
Yeah.
So you have a website.
I do.
Can I show it? Can I show it off?
Please do.
Let's do that. There we go. So there she is, Carolyn Melby. And I just love it. It's great. This is a great website. And you built this yourself, didn't you?
Yeah,
Check you out, sister.
Yes.
Making it happen.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about. Guide us through your website. What should we be looking for?
Okay,
when we go here?
if you tap on the free ebook at the tab at the top.
Okay, this one right here.
Keep going at the very top next to my name.
Let me put my glasses
yeah,
on.
okay. I'll let you do that.
Problem with seeing things
Yeah.
without them. Okay.
There you go.
There we go. This right here.
Yeah.
Free ebook. Okay.
Yeah. So your listeners can go and download that ebook.
Cool.
And it really is, how to attract your ideal love. And there is some exercise in there for you to figure out some of your wants and your desires.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it's a wonderful book that I created for everyone to have. Yep. So just click on that and
Boom,
you
here
can
we
go into
download
it.
the ebook, and I'll go ahead and download one right now.
Yeah. And there you
Can
go.
you download my free ebook now?
Yes.
Put
And
my
you
name
just
in
type
there.
in your name and your email. Yeah. It's funny because I've made copies of me when I'm traveling. I just have them with me, and people are just like, how do you do that? They're just so fascinated by it. Yeah. There you go.
Awesome.
And so,
The ebook has been sent, and then we have a video here. How long is this video?
you know what? Gosh, now that you said that, it's short. It's short.
Okay.
Yes, it's
Well,
short.
can I go ahead
sure,
and show it? All right,
Uh-huh,
cool.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's fun
That's
to make.
really great.
Yeah, there's many more coming.
Nice.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, that was fun.
So I got accepting applications, and we can go there. This is where you're going to go ahead and put in your information.
Yes.
And so this is what this is what you're going to see. This is what it looks like. And let me
you
go
can
back to
schedule
over
your
here.
And what I do is provide, once you get to that, to the back end,
Right.
you can schedule your 15-minute strategy session with me. It's
Right.
a one-on-one love intention strategy session.
Okay.
So that is available to you.
And you
as
said
well.
there was an exercise involved in the book.
Yes.
Okay,
So you can
and
just
then-
read it, and it'll tell you some of the things that you can do, and then you can schedule
I'm
with
gonna jump
me.
on that.
Yeah. And then what'll happen is I can send you to another link.
Okay.
But just making sure that you understand what that link is when we were talking about, the innate motives, your core innate motives.
Right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah. And then what you can do is you can go to the About once you're done with the ebook.
Mm.
And the About just talks a little bit about me and what, where my passion is and why I did this, and just really felt that it had a calling to me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So as I began
Yeah.
my search, and then over 3
Yeah,
decades.
and you can go to
Mm.
praise. Yeah, it
There
talks
we
about
go.
it shows them I've got some. I know, isn't that great?
It just
Right
auto
clicks
runs.
you
I like it.
automatically. Yes,
That's cool.
and then of course I have some people that I've coached, and they've feel honored that they were
Oh, that is
having
very
me
cool.
put them on my site as well. So that's some references, referrals.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
And
and
then we have events. Events are coming up.
events are coming up.
Okay.
Yes,
Let's take a look at that.
yeah, it's coming up.
There we go.
Yep.
Got to be fast on the draw.
Yeah. And then Carolyn's picks is in progress.
Okay.
That particular part of me, it's that inner and outer beauty.
Right.
Wherever I go, people want to know what that is, because that
Mhm.
does deal with relationship, that
Mm.
inner and outer.
Okay.
And there will be a lot of my own favorite picks
Okay.
that I really like that people can find, whether I have them or they're out there. That will be one of the pages that they'll be able
I
to go
love
and
your
pick.
logo. This is
You
so
love that?
cool.
Thank you.
I like it.
Yeah.
My logo is almost done.
Is it?
Yeah, I've been working with a guy named
Oh.
Chris Wood. He's from Big Chris Art. He's a tattoo artist, and he's also worked on huge
Oh,
endeavors like Halo and Halo 2, which are video games.
Nice.
And he's very
Yeah.
talented.
Is he hanging out with you to find out your personality?
No,
No.
but he's 6'6". He's big,
Oh.
and he's like a big teddy bear. He's just amazing. I love Chris.
Oh, wow.
So I like to give shout out to Chris. But so
Yeah.
he's finishing it up. We'll get
I
to
can't wait
what
to see it.
But yours
Yeah,
is
be
awesome.
sure and forward that
I
to
like
me.
it.
Yeah, a little simple there. It's great.
And your free book, and you're on Facebook.
I'm
so
on
it's
Facebook.
I'm gonna check out your Facebook page.
I
real
love
quick.
my Facebook page.
We're gonna stalk you.
Yes, I love my Facebook page. I
I
do
liked
a
it
lot
yet?
more work on my
Boom.
Facebook page.
Liked it.
Yes, thank you.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
and you can also download the ebook from there, and
Okay.
that'll take you, over to the.
That's
to the
fantastic.
website.
Look at this, and you have like a little
I
bit.
do
The
love
nice thing
this.
about your Facebook page is it allows you to do a little blogging, without having to actually have a blog.
Yes, it
That's
does. And I
kinda
usually
cool.
write a little bit with each and every one, and you'll find it's all relationship oriented, not necessarily like man to man type of relationships, just relationships everywhere.
This is juicy right here.
I know. That's why I put it on there. And that popped up right after I had coached on the soul. I could not believe it. I'm like, universe, you are listening.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about right here. Don't look for a partner who is eye candy. Look for a partner who is soul food.
Yeah.
I got to turn on my little. I have this switch over here on the microphone that has me sound like Barry White.
Oh, love Barry White's
Kidding.
voice. Yeah, you have a great voice. Yeah.
So that's awesome. Right.
Yeah, a lot of the and it's fun because, I always say if you're having issues or not so much issues, right, or that you have a lack of understanding in your wants and desires in one area, you're really having it all over the place without knowing it.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
Growl.
I know. Makes you definitely want to be a part of all that. Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll
And you're
go
on
through
Twitter
there.
and you're everywhere else.
I
so.
am, and a little bit on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes, this is definitely the biggest market, for where a lot of my loved ones and people find me is on Facebook.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a big,
Facebook is a big deal. Yeah.
It's really big. People really enjoy that because you get to be authentic,
Mm-hmm.
and people really do want that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've got people from Mexico that I've been in
Wow.
contact with on my Facebook, so
That
that's
is
been really
cool.
fun. And what's great about that is it's just, it's all over the world. It's not just us here in the United States and America that has these emotions or feelings. We're human beings, and we all want it. We
So
just
true.
speak of it in different languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or really just trying to get back to your first main page right here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are wondering, when you personally, like you're looking for that relationship, right?
Yeah.
What does that look like? How do I, because there's so many ways to meet people online, you know what I mean? I mean, for the most part, I meet people face to face, but there are a lot of opportunities to meet people online. So Meet Me is one place, and then they have all these apps, Tinder, and right, and then but you're dealing with this facade, Plenty of Fish or whatever. There's this facade. It's a profile that people put up, and you're not so sure if it's the truth or not.
Yeah.
So going on a date with someone like that is kind of iffy, in my opinion. So I like your method or your mode.
First of all, you don't date.
Yeah, right. Okay. So conversations, communication,
Yes.
being relaxed about
And
it.
you can hear that right off the bat.
Mhm.
And I'm going to share with you. This is going to probably be public, but I am, I've been recently talking to someone.
Mhm.
And right off the bat, it was a commonality for one.
Okay.
And didn't know him or anything, but I could just see some of the similarities.
Okay.
So then when we spoke, we had a lot of similarities. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, so this guy is now on the same pathway that I am in life and what I want to do, and hobbies, or, I play tennis and he plays tennis and that kind of thing. Then what happened was when we started to communicate, because he is out of state,
Mhm.
how are we going to do this? And I said, well, I don't want to meet you until we've spoken enough to determine whether it's going to be for, a waste of our time.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we're going to meet. And then after that, we'll take it to the next level. So what was interesting about that is when we got off the phone, I thought about that, and I'm like, no, I'm going to be right up front.
Mhm.
And I texted him. I said, these are the 3 things I'm looking for in a we relationship. And, one of them was I'm looking for a we relationship where I can be desired and we are desirable
Right.
for each other.
Okay.
Okay. And, and then I went into, a couple of other ones, and I said, I was up front. I said, look, does this match up with what you want?
Mm.
Because if it doesn't, then we're not going to be a match. There's no
Yeah.
point in moving on.
Right.
So it's real important that whatever is important to you and that you want, that you get it up front.
Okay.
No matter what people say.
Okay.
You know, people say, well, she came on to me really quick, or he came on to what he really wants, and it was kind of deep, and we were just meeting. So what?
Maybe that's
Don't
what's
waste
up.
any more time.
Right.
You know, and for people, sometimes they just want to be wanted. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
That doesn't work either. You've got to, you know, and here's my classic example. This is what I say. You know what an apple tree looks like? And there's apples all over this tree. And at the bottom on the underneath side and a little bit on the, you know, going up just a little bit, they're usually all picked.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then you see this one apple that's always at the top. That apple is me.
That's so great.
So all the ones on the bottom are picked over.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, there's something there at the top. And I find that when you talk about that, and I think men should, you know, have that conversation too. You're that apple just as much as I'm that apple. But it's the thought of it. It's the thought of us being that and being confident enough to say it.
Yeah. That's important.
And then people will know. People will know you're of a value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and here's something that's really interesting because I've heard this said before, that I'm a quality person, right? Like I'm a very quality person, and so it's like it's important to communicate that, but at the same time, you know, if what you're looking for is, I wouldn't say not a quality person, but somebody who's in line with maybe where you're going. So let's just say, for instance, I have some clear deal breakers, right? If you're an atheist, if you smoke cigarettes, you know, if you have small children, I don't really want to raise anybody else's children. And I have like a little, what do you call it? I have a thing that, look, if he's in the picture and he's being dad to that child, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to be that dad, right? I not like I wouldn't want to be a mentor or anything for the child, but I really believe it's important for that parent, that father, to be the source of father, right? And then I can be whatever the other piece is.
But the relationship, and here's what I want you to consider too, is the relationship that he has with the family and kids and the way it's being treated is how you're going to be treated in that relationship. So if they're not getting along, you won't either.
Right.
So that is where that line is drawn. And yes, those are the keys, because I have them as well. And then, because those are the big deal breakers. I mean, those are it, okay? And those are ones that you can't even negotiate on, or you can't even barely not say, oh, well, maybe, no, right? So then what you do is you have those, and that sets those people apart. So then you're going deeper in. Then it's like, okay, what's next? What's important to me? Let's clear
this out of the way.
So here is one, like, that's a great example, is I love to volunteer.
Oh, great.
It doesn't mean I necessarily volunteer, you know, for the homeless or anything like that. And that's fine, I would do that. But I particularly love to volunteer or areas of life where people can escape their life and have a great time.
Oh, cool.
Tennis tournaments, Oktoberfests, you know, the wine tasting, those kinds of things. I just volunteered at a golf tournament.
Oh, cool.
So what's important to me is, do you volunteer?
Yeah.
No. Okay, that doesn't work. Because the conversations that you would have at home about volunteering is all about empathy, compromise, loving, and that is what's important to me. So and see the depth of it, it just keeps going.
It seems like that if somebody, if that's what you like to do, and you may find yourself in a conversation where it's like, why do you do that? Such a waste of time. You know, the other person might think that way, but they don't say it up front, but they're not volunteering. That's a clear indicator.
Clearly. That's a clear indicator. Because it isn't necessarily the volunteering. It's the giving of themselves.
Right.
And can this person give themselves to me?
Do they have anything to give?
Do they have anything to give?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so and that's a real deal breaker. The other thing that I look for is I grew up in Germany. And I speak German. It's a different language. My mom is German. So I grew up in Germany with another culture. And I am looking for someone that has a different culture, not a behavioral type way of culture, but innately. Are they close to their family? My German grandmother was always with us. And, when my dad was gone in Vietnam and Thailand and wherever he was, she was there.
Yeah.
So we would always do that. And my mom and my sister now live together. So we have a great family life like that. And they were married for a long time.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a guy who has been in a relationship where he saw his mom and dad together for a long time.
Okay.
Because I don't know the divorce conversation. So if someone is divorced from a divorced family, they'll understand another divorced person.
Right. And you've never been divorced?
I've been divorced.
Oh, you have,
but I'm talking about parents.
Oh, got it.
Okay, where you've come from is where you want to look,
Right.
because it is the same. Or or even the traveling. One of my big questions is, do you eat sushi and do you travel?
Yes.
And where do you travel to? Where have you gone?
Right.
Well, I've gone to Mexico and to Seattle. Have you been anywhere else in the world?
Right. Japan, have you been to?
Yeah,
Right.
or it just doesn't even, those conversations wouldn't be there because they're not as open to what I want in my life, because I do want to travel. I do love to eat different foods.
Right.
That kind of thing. So that's the stuff that you want to really listen for.
And you don't find that out. So I think what's really interesting about what you're saying is that without dating, this thing called without dating, because in dating, you're discovering yourselves, I think, a little bit prematurely, because you haven't really gotten to know each other. And so having some conversations prior to the date and being able to, let's have this time be a time where we can actually figure those things out. And then if they work, now let's go out on a date. Let's find out if there's some kind of chemical and, other attraction available there.
Yeah.
And, what do you like to eat together? Because, by the way, if the guy eats like a pig, that's a deal breaker. So your face just completely changed.
Deal breaker. That's a deal breaker.
Right.
Yes.
Does he know what the fork and the, right?
Yeah.
What does he know what the settings mean?
Exactly.
Clue about that.
Exactly.
The small spoon.
Yeah, exactly. But to some people, it makes no difference because they grew up with that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's just not for you.
Right.
And that's not for me.
Sure.
And so that's where that really
So
does
you might be somebody that needs somebody that's well cultured, that's got some breeding, and if that's not for you, right, then you may be somebody who wants, who's simple but likes, good food, and generous and caring and that kind of person. And by the way, you can get them both at the same time, right?
You can have everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just what you're listening for. And this is really funny, is when I first started dating, all I could do was think of a particular way a guy was for me. Like, he had something that I didn't like. And I'm like, oh my God, that's all I ever see of these guys that have this. And someone said to me, well, if you quit looking for it and not make that a big knot, you wouldn't notice it. And it's funny because I didn't notice it as much, especially the guys who, well, I don't want a guy who's married and has kids. You can't believe how many men that I talk to that are single, they haven't been married, which sometimes can be a red flag, but it depends on their career and their lifestyle.
Right.
But you'd be surprised how many that are out there that with no kids. And the same with women. Same thing.
I'm seeing that a lot. Yeah. In fact, I've met a couple of women that were like, I'm not interested in having children, and there's no judgment for me there. I mean, I have 2 children, and I've raised my kids, and I'm like, really, you can actually have a relationship where you both get what you want, and maybe children aren't in the cards for you. As a decision, not like, you can't, but as a decision. And I think that there's a little bit of judgment around, I've actually heard this happen, when you have children. And one of my friends who's wonderful, and she's lesbian, and she's not going to have children. She's just really clear on that. And she said, no, I'm not going to have children. Oh, yes, you will. You'll get the bug or something like that. And she was starting to get a little upset with her. She said, I'm not having any children, so you can just drop the subject. There are people out there there are women out there that just don't want to, and it's okay. And that would actually fit what I'm looking for, me personally. And there's plenty of men out there that are the same way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I say, if you're out there, she's out there. If if I'm out there, he's out there.
Yeah.
And it's really just don't settle. Don't get frustrated. Quit making the meetings, dates. Just keep them meetings.
Right.
We do that with businesses and things that we do. And the more you meet, the more you talk, and the more really deeply that you get to talk. If it doesn't get to that point, that's not the person for you.
So you said something that's really interesting to me. Okay. And that is keep them meetings and not dates. So let's distinguish meetings and dates.
Let's do that. Okay. So a meeting is, like you were talking about, the online situation, or even if you meet someone in the grocery store.
Right.
It was a conversation with me. And I said, well, I don't go out. I talk on the phone first. We talk. And then if we get to a point where we want to actually meet, then we will meet and we can talk in person. And then from there, because once you've done that, you've already talked out quite a bit before you go to that meet.
Right.
Then when you meet, then you can tell that little chemistry or that, but you have to be careful to distinguish that it's not that oxytocin, which people jump into first versus the other way, right? Because that is the juicy part, but that goes away.
It does. It diminishes.
And then when you meet and then you talk some more, then go try on a date. And that's the wooing part. That's having that nice dinner that a lot of people nowadays, they say, well, we're not going to go to dinner. Let's go date and let's go to Starbucks. Again, that's still a meet.
How natural is that? So if I'm going to go, let's say, for instance, I have this woman that I'm interested in, and I'm like, well, let's meet up. And so what would be an acceptable kind of meeting? Like, flesh that out. So, it's not a date to go to Starbucks and have a coffee. That's a meet, right? So what are some other meets that would work?
So let's say you first, meet up. That's such a... I don't know that
Sounds
I would say
like a date.
meet up. Let's not meet up. You just want to say, look, you've gone through the talking part. Okay, good. And so now you do want to just meet in person. Great. Something fun. Go to the park. There's Tempe Park, the lake.
Town Lake,
Town Lake. Go anywhere but the same places that you would just normally meet.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right? Then you can tell, does someone have a dog? Bring the dog with you.
Okay.
Get a blanket. Sit. Go watch the ducks. Does the person like to get out? Another thing, this guy that I've been talking to, he said he was going to the park and he likes when the leaves are falling in the fall.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to go see that. They're nice and red, especially back east, right?
Right.
And I said, you know what I would do is I would have you stop the car. And I would get out and I would throw myself in the leaves and I would do like the leaf angel.
That's fantastic.
And it was so great because he's like, oh my gosh, that's what I would do. And I'm like, great, we can do it together.
That's so cool.
Things like that. Back to nature. I think people really want to do that anyway. If you're real, that is real.
I love to go to, I have a favorite spot in Arizona. I don't want to give it away though.
Oh, then we'll all be there.
Stay out of my spot. I love to go to Jerome. Jerome is one of my favorite places. There is one of the band members from Tool has a winery called Caduceus Wines, and he has a little winery shop in Jerome. It's fantastic. Don't go there. Stay away from there. Anyway, Jerome has so much great history, and if you take a little tour, they'll take you around and show you the sliding jail. Right, this jail literally slid down the mountain and then stopped, and its potential to slide again. But it's an old mining town. There's tons of really great little shops there. You got to go to the Haunted Hamburger. It's such a fantastic place to eat hamburgers. And then they have I just could go on and on and on. I love Jerome, but that sounds like a date to me, a little bit.
If you do that, if you want to say that's a date, if I was going with you to Jerome, that's a date.
Yeah.
Because now you're wooing me. Because you're taking me to somewhere that's important to you.
That's a favorite place of mine.
See? Yeah. So we would wait.
So we would avoid that.
You would avoid that.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
You want to keep that in your back pocket and wait for that.
Not the first date.
Not the first date.
Third, fourth date. So my first meetup, I'm just critiquing because I want to know. So my first meetup might be something like, you know what? I'm going down to. Okay, here's a great place I like to go. I like to do froyo from time to time.
Yeah.
Now it's outside my diet. I'm not allowed to do it, but I like to do it from time to time because I cheat. So.
Does she like it?
I don't know.
You haven't talked to her.
We haven't talked to her. We don't know. Yeah.
You don't want to take someone or go meet at a place like that because she may not like that.
Okay.
You've already talked a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and you already know some of the things that she likes. So that's where you're going to go.
How about a hike? Would a hike be okay?
Does she like to hike?
Don't know.
You
Gonna have to
haven't
find
talked
that out.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play disc golf. So the more I get to find out about her, the more I get to know, okay, well, this would be a good meet place, but then I'll also know what would be a good date place.
Yes, because when you start to meet at those places that you have something in common, I mean, envision it now. There's something there that gets created in a relationship because you both like it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that moves, and there's just something romantic about that. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And that love that you're no one can have yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts to show up a little bit more and a little bit more. And then eventually that safe space gets created for you.
Okay.
Okay? And then you will then say, okay, I'm taking her on a date because I want her in my life. And she'll want that at the same time.
And then you can communicate that the whole way through, I think.
That's
You could be like, well, I'm not ready to take you on a date, and here's the distinction. Let's meet up. Let's just get to know each other a little bit and have it being, very safe for both of us. And then when we both feel safe enough, then we can go on a date. Now, at that point, I know she loves sushi. So I'm taking her to Stingray, right? Or I'm taking her to Squid Ink. Or, making sushi here.
Yeah.
Because I make sushi.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, ladies, you
Well,
need to
there
know
you
this.
go. Oh my gosh. Yes, there you go. Or
Right?
even just going to the place and doing a pickup,
Sure.
and then a takeout, or
Yeah.
and having it at home, or I mean, you'll know at that point because you have that commonality and you've got that feeling of it's not just jump in, let's date. Nope, that doesn't work. Oh, that was the worst date ever.
Heartstrings get pulled. You guys probably had a little sump, and then oxytocin comes in. Oxytocin is an interesting thing to talk about. I really want to just touch on that for a moment. So oxytocin is called the connecting hormone. It's what happens when a child is nursing and the child and the mother both feel that closeness. That oxytocin is what's going off. A hug for more than 3 seconds will deliver oxytocin into the system. Sex, orgasm, definitely a great way to get some oxytocin in your system. Here's what's interesting, though. When a woman has an orgasm, she'll have the oxytocin affect her for about 2 weeks. But men, it only lasts about 3 days. So when you hear her saying, God, he wants to have sex a lot, just know he's low on his oxytocin and you're his prime.
That's it.
He's coming after you.
Yeah,
So,
that's it.
so call it a compliment.
Yeah, and you can feel that just by being around someone. It was interesting. I had gotten, this is a few years ago, it was going around the CD from Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
And Tony Robbins talks about the polarity,
Yeah.
where you can stand next to someone and it doesn't mean anything has to go any further. But that happens when I'm in the airport.
Oh, really?
I can walk by someone and we can both be whoop. And
Yeah.
it could be woman or man. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with, the intimacy or anything like that, but it has to do with that polarity.
Oh, yeah.
And you can tell right off the bat. And
Yeah.
sometimes those are the ones you want to stay away from.
Well, that's the, it's the yin and the yang of it.
It just feels so good,
It's
doesn't
the
it?
feminine and the masculine. So I was I'll tell this story. So I was at a bar with a bunch of friends, and it was a gay bar. And I'm standing there paying the bill, right? And this guy walks up to me. And he's like, I don't know why he picked on me, but it was funny. And he had this very feminine energy, and it was attractive. And he was like, let's get out of here. And I went, I don't think my girlfriend would appreciate me leaving with you right now. And I wouldn't anyway. But it was like, he was like, so what? And I guess there was this just energy happening. I had this masculine going on. He had the feminine going on. He was attracted to me. I don't know why he came up to me. Maybe he was just trying to get an easy sum-sum. But that was interesting. It was interesting.
And a lot of times people don't know what that is. So they just play off of it. If they would just get that it's just polarity and it just feels good, then it would
nothing
be
else
fine.
has to happen. It's just that. Accept it for what it is.
Yeah. That's including, one of the big things for me is I love to hug. And especially when men, they do want to hug me, I'm like, oh, please do. A few more seconds longer so I can have more of that testosterone.
I'll be sure to hug you before you leave.
Yeah. And It's all good.
Yes.
It's all good. There's
Absolutely.
nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you'll know when as long as you stay grounded in what you really want and what your desires are and your life mission and who you are and put it all together, you will find that person. Believe me, you will.
Yeah, be the kind of person that you want to attract.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big piece of it. And I've heard that said before, but it sounds to me like that you have this really wonderful way of having people connect before they go way too fast, way too far, and find out, nah, they weren't for me. And you probably could have got that in a conversation or two.
Yeah. Can you imagine walking around and everyone has a different way of talking about dating, and you were hearing this? I just love to meet and I just love to date, instead of I hate dating, bad mouthing everything all the time. So that's why that was one of my passions, was to have that switch.
Yeah.
So that we can bring more love in the world.
I appreciate
what
that.
you're committed to.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. So tell me some stories about some of the people that you've coached.
Oh my gosh.
I love stories.
Okay, so one of the here's one. They want to be coached because they're in a relationship and they've been in it for a really long time, and they're addicted to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
And not in a good way.
And not in a good way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And again, it's the value that they don't have for themselves.
I think that's mentioned in The Power of Now, and it's called The Pain Body, where we get addicted to the pain body. Great book, but that I think that's what it sounds like.
I haven't read it, but that would be something good.
Great book.
Yeah, write
Recommend
that down.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I'll write that down. Yeah, remind me when to go.
I will.
But yeah, I mean, and it's just so interesting to have a conversation with this person, because they really don't know what they want, and they're very successful. These people that are interested are very successful people, but that's also because they've been able to disconnect themselves. And they're done. They're not getting that gratification or that love for their job anymore. It's like it's done, because they've got what they thought they needed for themselves. Remember that fixing thing?
Right.
Okay, they got it.
Yeah.
Now it's done. Now next. So it was part of that conversation. And of course, my mom, coaching her.
Yeah.
She's so great. She, and she'd be more than happy, for me to say, but she was, Carolyn, can I talk to you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And she goes, well, how do I get this man to make love? I said, Mom, you aren't going to get this man to make love. I said, you have to, enjoy and enjoy him as a friend and not push yourself on him. So my mom is now at a place where she's withdrawn herself from that, and now they're becoming friends, and now they're that more soulful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been
Want
really
an update
interesting.
on this, by the way.
Yeah, my mom, she's
Your
beautiful.
mom.
My mom, she's asked me more questions
I
than
love
you
it.
even know, and I'm just right there for her. Because I'm living through her too.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
How do I get this man to have sex with me?
Yeah, and then I've coached people who just aren't even the relationships, because it's not just for single people that I coach. It's for people that are married, and what they want. I have one particular girl, actually I have two, but the one, she was disconnected from her husband, and she called me one day, and we'd been coaching her and talking for a little while, and she called me. I said, what's going on? You guys are like celebrating your anniversary. She goes, Carolyn, we're back. She says, as soon as I let myself go and I saw myself and what I really wanted and what I really had, my husband was sexy. We have the best, we make love. We have the best relationship now than we've ever had.
Wow.
So it's new. It's all newly found.
Wow.
She didn't know, because people don't know. She'd been married for, 20-something years, but she didn't go into it under her want and desire until she started working on herself, and then she started to see what she wanted, and she had it.
Wow.
So it just really
And she is blessed, because
hugely.
there's some women that might find out that the opposite is true.
Yeah. And you got to remember, there's probably a lot out there that already is there,
Yeah.
but they don't give it an opportunity. They don't give themselves that chance,
Right.
and then they leave, and then they've lost someone that they've all along had something. And those are the
There was something that was there that got them together in the first
That's right.
place, right? Like, I love to hear the stories of how we met. How did you
Yeah.
meet? I've got a friend named Charlie. He's been married 27 years, and he and his wife, Rain, They are the cutest couple. I mean, they are amazing together. They're a lot of fun to hang out with, and they're sexy, and Rain is gorgeous. I mean, really, she's just all woman, right? And then Charlie's all man. He's like, what do we call him? He is the, he is the love. What is it? The love cowboy, or I forget what it is. No. He's the, it's from that Joker Space Cowboy song. Anyway, he's awesome, right? He just loves people. The minute you meet him, you're his friend. He just lets you in. He's like that. And she is too. And so when they get together, they just play off each other. Yeah. It's like this magic dance that's happening within this, relationship of 25 years. And that's what I aspire to. And I think if anybody saw it, they'd be like, wow, that's pretty magical.
It is a dance, right?
Yeah.
And we've done some work too, and it is a dance. And what is important to you, or usually, like, what came to mind, an example was when my mom wanted something from this guy, and I said, but Mom, what do you really want? Now, mind you, she's done that questionnaire. She took that questionnaire, so I know where my mom is. And she says, well, I sent him an email, and how come he hasn't responded? I said, well, Mom, what did you really want? Well, I wanted him to send me an email. No, Mom, what is it that you really wanted from him? And it took her a little bit to think about it. And I'm like, Mom, what is it that you really want? Well, I just want him to, I just want to talk to him. I want to be with him. And I said, Mom, that's it right there. That's it. It's not the email. It's not the time. It's not anything else. So if you could just unpeel that onion, so to speak, what is it that you really want, and communicate that, then it would be a better relationship. So I said to her, Mom, just tell him you want to see him and see where it goes. He'll say yes or no. And you can't get upset if he doesn't want to. You just say, okay, it's just not today. Maybe a little bit later or something like that. And that's how it ended up.
Nice. It's so easy, so obvious. It's almost funny. I mean, I'm sitting here going, oh my God, why didn't they text you back? Or why didn't they, and the reality is that I'm hashing over a text message, when in reality, if I would have just said, look, I want to spend time with you,
I love it. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I'm going to do that. Can I hold on just a second?
Yes. Right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, if you get a text from me and it happens right now, then you're the one that I want to talk to. And you're going to see this, and you're going to be like, that was me. And it's gonna, that was you.
That was you.
Here it comes. I'm just going to say, I really want to spend time with you.
Yeah. Cool. That's it. I really want to do that. Now, how many times have you met with this person?
Once.
And how much talking have you done?
About 90 minutes.
Okay.
I had her on a podcast.
Oh. Well, then you need to keep talking.
Yes, definitely.
Keep talking.
Okay.
And you can say, I know that we haven't spoken a lot, and we haven't figured out what we really want from each other, what you want and what I want, and don't know if that's really going to work, but I really enjoyed talking to you at that point, and let's just go meet somewhere and hang out together and just talk.
That's perfect. Can I have you send the
send
All right, done.
Yeah. And then you'll have to let me know how it goes.
I will. We'll have a follow-up podcast.
We should.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That would be a really great podcast. Yeah.
All right, all done. We'll see what happens. It'll probably go bzzz here in a minute, but I'm not going to look at it.
Oh, there goes my phone. Oh, no.
We have to end the podcast now. I'm sorry. That's awesome.
That's cute. Yeah.
You're adorable. Can I just say that?
Well,
you really
you.
are. I love
Thank
you. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
You're giving me some great things to think about, some great things to do.
Great.
Right? And then, I'm interested. This is great because most guys, right? I'm just going to say it. Most guys are nervous to pursue a woman because then they feel like they're too clingy or whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world of dating and relationship right now. And I like the freedom of being like, let's just talk and meet. And then we'll see if that has any place in dating. Because if this doesn't work out, then we're not invested financially and time-wise, and we can be together in a way that's friendship based, and allow that friendship to just continue, because who knows, you might meet her friend who might turn out to be the one.
That she could be.
Yeah,
right.
you don't know.
Right.
So, and I believe in, instead of cutting people off and cutting them out of your life, having at least some time to be able to get to know them and be friends with them. That's the great thing about what I have with my friend in San Antonio. She's awesome.
Yeah.
It would be a real missing if I lost her as a friend. So.
Oh, that's right. Have you told her?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
I talked to her last night.
Okay, good. Yeah. And then I just want to insert just a little bit. When you go from the meeting before the dating, you can call it courting.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to take that word back out.
Let's do that.
And just have more courting.
Oh, yeah.
Before the dating and
Courting
after
is
the
a good
meeting.
thing. Heck yeah.
And you can say that up front. So, this is how I meet people. This is what I'm looking for. I want to meet you, and we'll talk, and then we'll meet, and then, I'd like to court you, and then I'd love to take you out on a date. Is that something that you might be interested in?
I'm scared, wow. That just gives me goosebumps, man. I don't know.
Can you imagine saying that to everyone that you were talking to, and they might just stop and go, "No, I just want to take you home," and you're like, "Well, you know what? That's not what I'm looking for."
Right.
And if it is happen to be that time, then you just go for it. But I'm just saying,
score.
right?
Terrible.
Yeah, but
I'm so terrible. Typical man.
We're all human beings.
I'm not. Look, first of all, I'm not into one night stands. I'm into 10 night stands.
10's better than 1.
Exactly.
As long as it's in agreement.
Right. I'm not going to tie her up.
Yeah.
No handcuffs, unless she wants those.
I was going to say.
That's part of the plan.
As long as that's what she wants and you
Let's
want.
just take it to the edge.
Just take it. That's in the want and desires list. That's after the soulfulness, the soulship. I should trademark that soulship. Has anybody done that already?
I'm not in a relationship. I'm in a soulship.
You're in a soulship.
And I will attribute that to you
Isn't
forever.
Isn't that a great thing?
Great.
I'm going to use that. I'm stealing my own. I'm going to put that on my Facebook as soon as I leave here.
You can't steal your own.
I'm going to just take my own.
You can't steal your own.
Yeah, Carolyn's going to steal from the relationship coach, Carolyn.
That's fantastic. Oh my God. So I'm not interested in relationships. I want soulships.
I want soulships.
I actually have my best friend Daniel Long. This guy is amazing, right? He's my best friend. He's top of my top 5. And we have that soulship. Really do. He's the first guy I ever went on a long weekend with, right? Because I don't do that. I just have never done that before. But he and I went and saw NWA, and we went into LA. We drove into LA. We stayed right next to the Staples Center, beautiful hotel. Hung out for 3 days, played disc golf, just man things. We were out there just doing that, and came back and I was like, man, you know what, dude, you're legitimately my best friend, and really we're like soulmates, man. We sit down and talk about anything. And he's also my partner in another podcast I do called The Permanent Record.
Oh, fun.
Which is much, it's a freaking great time.
And where does he do his out of?
Well, right here.
Oh, here.
Yeah, we do right
okay,
out
so
of
you
this.
did it together.
Yeah, so if you've never heard of The
fun.
Permanent Record, it's coming. But me and Dan are the guys that do that. So
Yeah, you'll have to keep me posted. on that
absolutely,
as
we have
well.
you on that. We can have you on The Permanent Record too.
Yeah,
Really
good.
fun.
Here's what is funny. When you were talking about your guy friend, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
When I have my girlfriends, it's funny because when there were certain things, it's like someone had said it to me and then I took it from there. It was, Carolyn, what's your last name? And it was like Melby. And then she would say, Mrs., let's say Betty Melby. And I just looked at her and she said, you know what? She said, if I was a lesbian, I would marry you. I said, that would just be really great because then you could do all of this that you like to do and then I would do all of that. So now when I have my friends, when they do something really great, I'm like, if I was a lesbian, I'd marry you.
It's fantastic.
Wouldn't it be fun if guys could just, girls have their own language, but there is just something about that. It would be, yeah. And another one that I tell people is, if I could marry myself, I would. People are like, what?
What are you
I'm
talking
like, just
about?
think about it.
Heck yeah, I'm a catch.
I love my soul. I love who I am. If I could marry me, I would.
That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
very good.
Yeah. So there's so much happening in the world of relationships. It's just, and I think what you're creating is a revolution I really do. I mean, that's now I say that, but
Yeah.
but having the opportunity to sit and talk with you, I'm seeing that, you know, the way things have been going in the dating world, it just doesn't work, you know? And so this is a revolution in just having people be with each other.
Oh,
right?
That. Yes. And the awareness. Like, people aren't aware. They just do. Or they just fix.
Well, that's a societal thing, you know. It's kind of like, what's in place? How's it done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got to do it this way, and that didn't work, so maybe you ought to try it this way. No, well, how about really finding yourself first and see what it is that you want in order to try that?
Right. Step one. Know yourself.
Know yourself.
Step two.
Socrates has that's that saying. I actually have. No, Oscar Wilde had one up there too that I put on there. But yeah, Socrates said, "Know thyself."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true."
Yeah.
I think he said, maybe he was one of the people in one of his plays. Yeah. But know yourself. Step one. Step two, get to know the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right?
And get to know them by
meeting and talking, or talking. Mm-hmm. Talking, and then if talking leads into meeting, and then meeting leads to,
we created courting,
and then courting leads to dating, and then dating leads to
whatever
lifetime.
You want. Lifetime soulship. That we created here.
Soulship. Hashtag soulship. We're going to create that afterwards too.
Create that.
That's fantastic. Is there anything that you want to say? Let's say to a potential client, somebody who's like you're going to coach. You know, what would you say to that person? What would you say to whatever their struggle is? Because there's some struggles going on out there right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Usually they go, wow, when they meet me and they know what I do. Mm-hmm. And then you could see them disappear in their head and they're starting to think of an area. And then they'll say, well, you know, I've got this relationship and and then the first thing I say is, well, what do you really want? Yeah. Well, and then they hesitate, and then they're not clear, and then they start mumbling off this stuff because they want to get it right, or they want to say things right. And then I just wait, and I'm just like, what do you really want? And then they say, you know, maybe I don't know what I really want. And then that's when I say to them, that's it right there. When you get clear on what you really want, you'll have exactly what you really want.
That's fantastic. That's perfect. Anything else you want to share with us?
Gosh, I could be here all day sharing about all kinds of things. Just about life, because life is a relationship.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I
think we could actually end on that.
Great.
Yeah?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My honor to be here and be able to start that revolution. And
thanks for starting it here.
Yeah, right. You know, well, you were a part of it.
Thank you.
And let's go soul shipping.
That's it, man. I'm excited. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for being on the Edge podcast. I really do think we got to the edge with this one.
Thank you.
And it's fantastic. And thank you for being in the audience and listening in. For Carolyn Melby, and for your relationship. What's the name of your company?
Carolyn B. Melby.
Carolyn B. Melby, relationship coach. On behalf of Carolyn, I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank you and invite you back to the next Edge podcast with MikeG, coming soon.
Decoding visionaries and subcultures. The Edge podcast with MikeG is brought to you by the following sponsors. Thank you for your support.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. 'Cause I'm the type of nigga that's built to last. If you fuck with me, I